So it's all to play for still.
I think so. Do you want to bet against us?
Hi, villains, and welcome to For the Love of Paul McGrath podcast. Back after a long period of time. It seems way longer than 2 weeks, Paddy. Way longer than 2 weeks since we were here.
Well, it doesn't for me because I did two women's Premier League podcasts in between. So yeah, it's all good.
Yeah,
doesn't feel like I've been away. But I tell you what I am missing is the Villa. So I'm looking forward to this weekend.
Yeah, and you're going over, Paddy?
I am. I can't wait. Only a day trip, but yeah, I'll make the most of it. I'm looking forward to it. I haven't been to Villa Park yet this season, so I'm really looking forward to getting over and seeing the team in the flesh. Obviously, I went to Anfield, but going to Mecca is completely different.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, it's going to be great. And I actually think the team are going to be in a good stead this weekend, and I think this is going to be something that they're I think they're going to be fully primed for this game at home. And as we know, our home form is usually pretty decent under Unai Emery, and yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Really, really am. 4:30 kickoff on Sunday, Paddy.
4:30 kickoff. Yep.
Yeah.
The wonderful David Coos in charge in the middle.
Yeah, we had we're in a text group with a member named Noel Connaughton, and Noel said Noel was trying to rise you, Paddy, but I cut him off at the pass. I think he was saying that David Coates usually okay, isn't he? I was like, have you learned nothing, Noel? Have you learned nothing? But Paddy, I suppose, look, before we get into the West Ham side of things, and look, we decided we'd speak a small little bit about West Ham first before we started to ramble, so that people can't accuse us of not talking about what the topic and the podcast is. But look, a bit has happened at Villa since we were away. Namely, I suppose, Nicola Zaniolo, and he was going to Shawshank at one stage, and then now it looks like he's not. Now it looks like he was only betting on blackjack. And I suppose I think when it first broke, Paddy, I took to Twitter and I said, look, listen, this ain't the end of the world. I had been speaking to somebody in the Italian, in the know in Italian football. They told me that the guy who was breaking the news was how will I put it? A person who wasn't whiter than white himself and had access to grind. Also, he said that, like, obviously the Fagioli or whatever his name is, the guy from Juventus is going to do time for. He's going to do like 7 years of a ban for it, which is to be understood, because apparently he was the guy who did the most. And Tonali it remains to be seen there. But it was always kind of said that Zaniolo, while Zaniolo was a bit of a loose cannon at Roma and in Italian football, and he was a flash stand, it was more so the James Bond type of betting, which it now seems to have turned out to be the blackjack. That was the way it was actually put to me as well. It was James Bond betting, blackjack, things like that, as opposed to betting on his team. So I was never really too concerned about it. Never really too concerned about it.
Okay, there was always something brewing, when a story breaks like that, and it does worry you. As time went on and you realise nobody was being arrested, you certainly, you start to question where the news has come from and whatever. I think I said to you amongst ourselves that I'd much rather have been in our position if something was going to drop than Newcastle's having paid an extraordinary amount of money for a player, a marquee player like that. Yeah. And then he ends up in trouble over this. Like, we've only got a loan player and he was going back. So it never really bothered me as such. What did bother me is when eventually it came out and said, look, there's nothing in this, is that it was his preparation and the fact that he was away playing international football. And I think it would have done him good if he got at least one start out there. And now he's back fighting for his place again. And I think a good start out of there might have put him in from the start at the weekend. So on a personal level, I'm disappointed for him because he's fought hard to get back into that Italian setup. After the previous manager really wasn't too happy about him. So let's put it that way. So he's back trying to prove himself and make something of his career. So for something like this to land on him is a real pain in the ass, I'd imagine.
Paddy, I've just realised I think I've solved what the technical issue was beforehand. So, sorry.
Too late now.
I solved it now. I just had a bit of a light bulb moment. So, reason we were late was I've gotten a load of new equipment. I've been messing around with it or whatever, and then when it came to the crunch time, obviously, of doing a podcast, I couldn't figure out how to hear Paddy through it. But I think it might have been a simple case of read the screen as opposed to trying to figure it out otherwise. But we'll do it for next week's podcast or for the team sheet tantrum, should I say? Hopefully we'll have it up and running again. But yeah, you're right there with the Zaniolo thing. Like, as I say, I think he gets a bad rap. I think it seems to be a lot of like, how am I going to put this in a way that that doesn't sound kind of childish? Look, it was a simple case of we'll give you 7. It seems to me like it was a simple case of we'll give the guy from Juventus, we'll give you 7 months if you rat other people out. That's what it seemed to be, and he went for guys who he knew were gamblers. And whatever happens with Tonali, don't know what the story is there. It seems like I've read that he bet on his own team. I read he hasn't bet on his own team. I also read the exact same thing about Zaniolo. Turns out that Zaniolo might be getting off scot-free now with a fine. Which, to be honest with you, I think if he's only betting on blackjack and stuff like that, I don't even know why he would be fined. To be honest.
Well, I think if you threw a load of coins into a room, you do very well not to hit someone that doesn't gamble. It's a big gambling culture in football. So,
yeah, exactly.
People have so much money on their hands. It's the obvious thing that they do. Unfortunately, you often hear Gabby Agbonlahor talking about going to Vegas and gambling. You know, there's a big gambling culture within, and of course we've seen what Ivan Toney has done as well. So it can escalate to an even higher level. So look, the truth will come out, I'm sure, but all the signs is that that Zaniolo is nothing to worry about, and that's the most important thing from our point of view.
Exactly, yeah, and he's going to. It looks like he's going to be in the squad. I think Tom Colomasi had it today that he's going to train, that he's training, and that he's back with Villa, and he's going to be in the squad for the weekend. Which I would have always been of the opinion as well. Even if he had this stuff hanging over him, play him. He's on loan. He's not a full-time player. Play him. Get your money's worth out of him. And if he was sentenced or anything like that, it would have taken a while for that sentence to come true. It would have been closer to January, and then you can bin him. But look, if the man is innocent, the man is innocent as well. Play him. That's what I say.
Look how many teams the FA allowed Ivan Toney play against people while they knew he was guilty.
Us.
So yeah, us. Of course, it was us.
Yeah.
So look, this would have taken a whole lot of time, and if he was guilty, as I said to you at the time, he'd be just shipped back in January, and that'd be the end of it. We wouldn't hear from him again. That would be it. So it wouldn't have been the end of the world, but I've great hope for him. I think when he eventually hits his peak and gets up to speed with the Premier League, I think he's going to be an absolute terror for defences. So I'm looking forward to him getting to that stage. It may take a little bit more time if he's only coming off the bench, but we'll give him a bit of patience and or show a bit of patience and see how he gets on.
Exactly. Again, Paddy, just want to test something to see if I've actually solved the issues that we have here. I'm going to play.
Don't ruin the live show now.
I think people might be hearing applause on the live stream. Pop in the chat there if you guys could hear just a random applause out of nowhere.
Well, I can hear it. I can hear it.
You can hear it. Okay, that's grand. Okay, I've solved the issue. I can press this button. I can press this button again, safe in the knowledge that I know that I have solved the issue again. Perfect. Tech issues out of the way there, Paddy. Also, today we've got some really, really good news. News that I did not like. Okay, so I plugged out from Aston Villa for the last 7 to 10 days, literally only looking at my phone maybe about once a day, just for various different reasons, personal reasons and stuff like that. But Villa announced the deal with Vissel Kobe, like absolutely out of the blue for me. I didn't see it coming at all. So when I looked at my phone this morning, I went, didn't see that, didn't have that in my bingo card. But I'm fecking delighted it came here because they're top of the J League at the moment, and they've got pedigree of bringing in players. Obviously, they've had players like Andres Iniesta in there previously. Juan Mata is there at the moment. They have an unwritten. I've been doing a lot of reading into them today. They have a very and this is, you will not find anything official on this. I was speaking to somebody who covers Brazilian football today, and he was telling me that they have an unwritten kind of give us your middling players with Flamengo, the club in Brazil, and they've signed 2 or 3 or 4 players, I think, recently from Flamengo in Brazil, brought them over there, players that were playing for them but maybe wouldn't have been good enough to make the jump straight to Europe, and they've signed those. But huge business opportunity, huge commercial opportunity, along with Paddy as well, I suppose. The massive renaissance that Japanese football is going through at the moment, with likes of Mitoma, the likes of Celtic going away and finding all these gems there. I actually have a scouting series done on a Japanese player who's still in college but is playing with the Japanese team as well, who would most likely, I would imagine, be somebody who's going to break into the European scene very soon because of the amount of goals he scored. But yeah, talk to us, Paddy, about that partnership that we've made today. It seems that the V Sports Group is growing and growing nicely.
Yeah, and look, the Asian market is very important for a club to grow. It only takes a trip to I was going to call it White Hart Lane, the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, to see how the Asian market can create, number one, an atmosphere, number two, a sense of a circus around your club, and a huge interest. Also, if you've been to Celtic in the last 2 years with what Ange Postecoglou has done up there, I know he didn't bring in Kyogo, but he brought in players like Rio Hatate, who's just an absolute superstar. The Japanese players can really add something to a dressing room and environment. It's all it's just the next step, really. We know that the Las Vegas Villains is on the horizon. We know that we've got Vitória Guimarães. We know we've got ZFC. I suppose the next step, well, you would call ZFC an African club, but maybe somewhere in South Africa or somewhere along those lines might be the next step after that. And look, all of these are all planning for the future. It's easy to sit here and be dismissive of it, but it's right to report that it is a really good thing, and only good things can come from it. We'll never have to reduce our stake or whatever is in the club, because we'll never play them unless it's in the World Club Championship, and that's a long way off. So so it's not the same as playing Vitória Guimarães, but yeah, look, it's all positive, and these are no mugs when they're attracting players like David Villa, Lucas Podolski, Andreas Iniesta,
Juan Mata.
And Juan Mata is there at the moment, so that there's plenty of money there too, and there's plenty of money in the Japanese game, plenty of sponsorship, big stadiums. It's a really good place to be. And I've no doubt that we'll be sending teams out there pre-season and doing a Japanese tour, or maybe playing 2 games with them or whatever. So it's huge news for the club. It's huge news for the global brand that they're trying to grow, and that's why Chris Heck is in there now to grow that brand. And it's going to be a really interesting one to sit back and watch.
Paddy, who did Celtic sign Kyogo from?
I can't remember.
You should know, because we're just talking about him there, Paddy. They signed him from Vissel Kobe.
Did they really?
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. He scored 42 goals in 95 games as well. So, yeah, and he's continued that scoring spree into the Scottish League. And to be honest with you, I would say could see himself in the Premier League soon. I'd imagine Ange will have a look.
That's why
at him
Celtic have him and Hatate on long-term contracts, because they're very. I'd say they're very wary of Ange Postecoglou taking him to Spurs. So yeah, there's a big market there, and I would imagine there's going to take huge money to take them away from them clubs. So if we've got a great scouting series out there, or scouting setup out there, to maybe unearth the next Hyun-Min Son or Kyogo or any of the players that you could pick out of the Asian market that have made an impact on the game, Matoma, all these people. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens. But it's one for the future. It's not one for this week or next week or even the next couple of transfer windows. It's going to take time.
Absolutely, absolutely. Do you know what I'd love? And I think I speak probably for most Villa fans. A lot of Villa fans were saying, "Oh, I'd love if someone like a Tommy O'Reilly went down to Vittoria de Guimaraes, or something along those lines, whereby one of our young players goes out and loan to one of the clubs that we've got a partnership with." This one probably makes a small bit more sense, I would say, from the amount of games.
Well, I tell you, if you had a rough diamond that needed to be calmed down, that would be the greatest place you could possibly send them. If there was somebody with a bit of a disciplinary record or a little bit of a loose cannon, send them over there for a year. They'd calm him down and put manners on him for sure, because it's a very respectful, nation. The way they treat everybody, especially in football, you've seen at the World Cup where the fans stay back and clean up the stadium after it, and you see when the national team play, they clean the dressing rooms before they leave, all these kind of things. So it would be a nice grounding place to send someone who is a little bit troublesome.
I think for everybody who's listening there, you're all said the exact same thing as me, going, Paddy, did you need to go to Japan? Did you need to go on loan to Japan when you were playing? Is that what it was? Is that what you're trying to say? Is this a kind of a what is it? A call for help kind of moment? Did you?
Might have done me the world of good.
But look, and as I say, it's great business on the balance sheet as well, because like someone who was it popped in there, Rachel asked there, is this a heck idea? I think this is an idea that suits both sides. I think it suits the on-field side of things, and I also think it suits the balance sheet side of things as well, because the Asian market is it's a fanatical market. It's fantastic, and Villa have been very slow to the mark there, very slow to the Asian market in that aspect. I suppose realistically, the only kind of constant you could see with Aston Villa is going to the Hong Kong Sevens. But apart and going there and winning it usually, but apart from that, there, it has been a part of the world that they have not really mined yet, So
we did the Premier League. We did the Premier League Asian Cup a couple of times back about 10 years ago or so, before we were relegated. So we do have a little bit of history there, but this is absolutely huge. And what I found really nice about this was to see Nassef actually announced it today and in front of the camera, which we don't see too often. So it was nice to actually hear from him and see his passion, which we're always hearing about. So you could see he was bright-eyed about this. He was really excited, and I think that came across in what he said.
Yeah, and look, it probably goes to show as well, while he is in partnership with Wes Edens, Nassef is the chairman. Like, it's been well documented before that it was Nassef that was the fellow who got up at Craven Cottage last year when Stephen Gerrard got the boot and was like, yeah, he's gone. And it was Nassef who delivered the news to him in the tunnel and whatever else. So, it's just further shows that he's a big businessman. He's a very, very wealthy man. He's a man who's managed conglomerates. He's CEO in conglomerates. He's a man who's been part of big business, so you kind of want him calling the shots here. And that leads me to believe that it's also a commercial venture as well as anything else. He's also a man who knows his football. So, look, once again, great owners, and whenever they come out from underneath I suppose whenever they pop up above the parapet, should I say, they seem to be popping up and announcing some nice things recently, as opposed to off the field, I suppose, from a commercial point of view, as opposed to, I know some of the things with the season tickets and all that kind of stuff come from the commercial department as well. But this is, and as we get more of these, you would hope that there'll be less and less of the drag on the general fan, because these commercial ventures are exactly what you need to be the big deal. Newcastle are signing a fucking an official airline. Guess who they're signing with? Saudi Airlines. Surprise, surprise, So there's going to be murky waters we're going to have to delve into soon to get the balance sheet in the way that we want it. But look, stuff like this is nice, and long may it continue. And I hope to see a lot more clubs in the V Sports partnership. for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And as John Steele rightly says, it shows that the owners are in it for the long haul. This is a long-term project. This is not a fly-by-night coming in and pretending to be a big Premier League club owner. They're actually flexing their muscles and they're writing the checks. And we've a lot to be thankful for that they're there. So yeah, it's all exciting. It's all good. I wasn't expecting it, just like you. I wasn't expecting it this morning, but all good news.
And also talking of other good news and things to be thankful for as well. Congratulations, Lewis. I'm not going on Sunday, says Lewis, as my wife is giving birth to our first child.
Amazing
Excellent.
stuff.
Great. It's great to have another Neil in this world, Lewis, isn't it? It's great to have another Neil. You can call him Neil. Yeah, you can call him Neil, but you can't call him Dunworth. That's what I always say to people.
I didn't say it was a boy.
Oh, yeah. I'm okay with using Neil as a girl's name. It's 2023. I have no problem with this kind of stuff. You can use Paddy with an I. Maybe use it as a girl's name. I don't know. Whatever you want to do. Find it out. Make it happen somehow, Lewis.
Just not Patty.
Just not Patty, yeah.
For all our American listeners.
Yeah. But congratulations, Lewis, and congratulations to your wife as well. Big time. And as you said down here, is just the lack of sleep. And if you think now is the lack of sleep time.
He's only his lack of sleep now is only the worry phase. Wait till it's actual lack of sleep.
Yeah. Lewis named him Ronnie. I wanted to name our kid Ronnie as well, but I got vetoed probably on a weekly basis. I was told, no, we're not calling him Ronnie. But there still is deed poll.
Lewis, you're in good company when you name your child after your hero. I think you're the man of the house.
Exactly. Yeah. I didn't name my child after my hero. Wait a minute. Yeah, you're right, Paddy. When you get to name your child after your hero, it means that you're the man of the house. And I evidently am not in mine. Yeah, I evidently am not in mine. Yeah, coming on to the Villa West Ham at the weekend, Paddy. And after an international break like this, it's going to be tough to kind of pick the starting 11. Like we a couple of players away. Kamara was on the once again, I plugged out from all football. I more or less plugged out from life for about 7 days there. But so I know Ali Watkins scored in one of the games England had. I know Kamara was on the bench for another. I know Scotland qualified. I don't know. Did Pau Torres get minutes? I don't think he did.
I don't think he did. No, I don't think
he did. Martinez kept another. Did he keep that clean sheet? Actually,
he did. Yeah.
He did.
2 clean sheets while he was there, yeah.
Perfect stuff from him. So look, all our guys got over it fit and healthy and are back to, well, I presume are back to Bodymore now, I would imagine, and getting ready for the game at the weekend. It's hard to see.
Like I said, when we wrap things up at the after the last game, we did see a load of players away on holidays, and that's exactly what we needed at this time of year. We're going into a horrible run of fixtures. Not on paper, as in the teams are really, really strong. It's just the amount of fixtures we're going to have in the next 8 weeks, let's say, in the lead up to between now and Christmas. It's going to be tough going. So we need the rest. We need the recovery. To see Diego Carlos on the beach in Greece and of course Douglas Luiz.
That made me feel worse, Perry.
You can't take a ball off Douglas Luiz. He's back kicking the ball around in Brazil and all this kind of stuff. But look, it's great. It's great to see them get the rest. And I was disappointed for the likes of Zaniolo. Pau Torres didn't get much of a run out. But look, at least they're still training. They're up to speed. They won't be fully as rested as everyone that got a holiday. But without those games, they should have got somewhat of a rest over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, and John Steele says here as well, former Aston Villa player, shout out to him. Curtis Davis getting his first international call up at 38. I too did search every drawer in my house to see if I could find my Sierra Leonean passport, but unfortunately I've mislaid it somewhere along the line and I was unavailable for selection that day. No, I just... he was always, like, I remember when he was at Villa, they made overtures for him to play with this year. Paddy, did Ireland make overtures?
They certainly did. Yeah, and he could have. He, as far as I'm aware, well, I probably shouldn't say this out loud now.
He was very close. Let's just put it that
I think somebody made contact with him and they got the wrong answer. and
Okay.
that was it. He wasn't even talked about again. As far from what I was told, I don't know how true that is,
Yeah.
but we'll preface it with that. But that's exactly what I was told. He got the wrong answer when he was questioned.
He was questioned. Yeah, but no, fair play to him. Fair play to him. 38 years of age, like playing international football. And it was if I'm not mistaken, it was the country of his father's birth, I think he said. So fair play to him. Curtis Davies at 38. I'm also 38, although I look like an older 38 than Curtis Davies does. So I am officially going to be looking back through the history, the family tree, to see if there's anybody from Greenland. Greenland might have a soccer team. Maybe I've got somebody from Greenland. I get on that team, I'd imagine. God, I saw some of the lads from Gibraltar. They had grayer beards than me when Ireland were playing them. So the Cipolinas and all those guys that were playing for him, and sure your man from Andorra.
I think Cipollina's the same age as me.
Yeah. And that guy from Andorra that retired recently, Lima, like he must have been the bones of 60. So there is time. There is time, everybody. There is time. And actually, do you know what? I might even need to go too far. Ireland. I might get a game for Ireland the way things are going at the moment. So
Yeah.
Jesus. But Villa, going back to Villa West Ham, we were talking about that in international games, or international players that have gone away for a period of time. A lot of their players as well were away at international, but on international duty. They've had a very, I'm going to say that they've had a very kind of a quiet, kind of lingering kind of start to the season. They've been doing well. They've gotten rid of Rice. They've replaced him with Alvarez. Souček has found his feet again back in there. He stagnated a bit last season. They've Paqueta obviously is tearing up trees along with Bowen. Ward-Prowse has come in there and is doing what Ward-Prowse does and just provides assists. So they've spent wisely.
Yeah, they've had nearly a carbon copy start to the season as us. They lost at Man City. They lost at Man City at home, and they lost to Liverpool away. So they're like the two fixtures we had that we lost, and they have another draw there against Bournemouth. So it's very, very similar, apart from the European fixtures, which have been doing very, very well. And they got a draw against a very good Newcastle side as well, which is no mean feat. So they're flying high. They're obviously a little bit behind us with the extra draw, but we're in for a really decent scrap, I'd say, on Sunday.
I think so too. Yeah, I think so too. Games against West Ham, between West Ham and Aston Villa, have always, Villa have not come out the better of them in recent years. I read Stato had it up today. Tom Cleverley was the last person to score in an Aston Villa win. That must be 2015. Back that far. So we haven't had the best of times against West Ham. Go back to the day after my daughter was born, inside in the maternity ward, watching Aston Villa and watching Ashley Young playing at centre midfield, and seeing I think all three of their goals. That was a 3-0 or 2-0, but every one of them were shots from outside the area and just pinged in the bottom corner. Declan Rice got one, and Ben Johnson got one as well, and I'm certain somebody else scored a goal. But yeah, so we just haven't had fond memories against West Ham. And do you know what? Hey, Unai Emery breaks these streaks. He changes these memories, and he changes them, and hopefully he does that again at the weekend, because we're coming into this in good form. We're coming into this also from the point of view of confidence, and we have the best manager we've had in the last. Probably we've had the best manager we've had. I would say, over the team,
maybe,
over the team. So it's going to be a banger, and I'm glad that it's Sunday at 4:30, because I think it, and I'm now saying I'm glad it's Sunday at 4:30 because I think it deserves a TV slot. But I'm now feverishly checking to see if it's the only 4:30 game on Sunday. So
it's the only game on Sunday, I think.
The only game on Sunday. You're right, yeah.
Yeah. Because I was kind of watching, I was trying to look to see what game I'd be watching in the pub in around Villa Park before the game, but I've actually to go to a meeting before the match, a Lions Club meeting, so I won't get to see whatever's on before. So it actually suited me that there was no game on,
no other games.
But I'm really looking forward to it. It should be a good indication of where we're at. We're playing against a really good side, a really tough side to break down. So it'll be interesting to see how we line up and how he goes about breaking down, a really resolute defense, and well protected defence by and Ward-Prowse has hit the ground running since he's come in there. It's going to be really interesting to see how everybody does, and I'm really looking forward to it.
What do you maintain the team is going to be? Do you think there's going to be many changes to it? Do you think Zaniolo starts? Do you think Bailey gets in there? We've heard nothing about Alex Moreno. Like, I'd like to kind of know where he is now, because at the time he was back, and then it was a kind of a 2-week thing, and we haven't heard much from it.
Well,
he's
a big question, but I think JJ Ramsey is a bigger question, because all it's led to is people surmising that the bloody bone is broke again. But that's not what was said. To me, it seemed like there would have been a bit of tenderness around the original injury, and that was what their concern was, and it just needed rest. So that 2 weeks may have served him well, but we haven't seen anybody really, other than a couple of pictures on the training ground today, and neither of those were Alex Moreno or Jacob Ramsey. But like yourself, I'm really looking forward to Moreno getting back up there and just giving us something different to throw at whoever we need to break down, because he really does rattle the cage when he starts to bomb forward. So everyone he played against has been absolutely on the back foot, and I look forward to playing him with. We have a decent back three to give him that opportunity to bomb on. So if we're playing the three at the back with the boys tucking in when we lose the ball, I think it will really suit his game. So I'm looking forward to seeing how he lines up in that system and how it helps him going forward. Because if you remember, we were caught out a few times with him going forward. So it would be nice to see how we've rectified that situation. But look, Luca Dean has had a decent start to the season. He's had a rest now as well. All good. I'm not expecting anything really strange to happen with the team. I guess they'll be more interested in talking about Ollie Watkins' goal in the press conference than actually asking the questions we need to ask, which hopefully there's a couple of Villa fans in the press conference that will actually say, hang on, what's the story with Moreno and Jacob Ramsey, so we can put that to bed. But the Ramsey one is worrying me a little bit, because people are a bit tetchy about it, and they're not nobody has the real facts.
Yeah, it's and like what's kind of killing me at the moment is we're yet to see a good run of games. Well, we're yet to see Diaby and Moreno playing the same team at all. But we're yet to see a good run of games of Diaby, Jacob Ramsey, Moreno, ball carriers. We yet to see those three ball carriers in the one team, and I think Unai Emery wanted us to carry the ball more, to be a foil towards to our passing it through the middle. We're still getting by passing it through the middle, and we're finding ways to carry it at times, specifically on the left-hand side. But the change of pace and the complete change of direction of attack, and the way that an opposing team would have to take you into account if you had a ball carrier like Ramsey, like Moreno, and like and move Diaby maybe more out to the left or to the right hand side, should I say? Maybe bring McGinn in beside Watkins. If you really wanted, if you were getting no joy down the middle, you could do that, and then you could really attack at the wings. I think that's tantalizing. I'd love to see it, but we haven't got to see it yet. So Godspeed to the two guys in getting back from injury. Hopefully nobody else gets injured. At the weekend, I still think, obviously, like we're just in a way we're very blessed to have the likes of Digne and Zaniolo in there who are able replacements. And just as I say, as to echo people in the comments already, a Zaniolo goal would do his confidence and everyone in the fans' confidence wonders with regards to him. In the coming weeks, because we're going to need to rely on him. We're going to need to rely on him for sure.
And plus, it's a home fixture, so we're likely to see Leon Bailey, who also scored away on international duty. Always makes me laugh, that one. I had this conversation with my boss the other night, and I said to him, "What have I told you? I could only work 1 week out of 2." How would that go down?
Well, he has been getting better in away games. He has, like, last 2 weeks.
Yeah, he's had a really good start to the season.
Brilliant.
And to go away to whoever your international team is and to score a goal is brilliant. It's absolutely he's playing at the best level we've seen him at since he joined. So I hope he continues it. I hope he gets a few goals. I hope he gets a few assists. I really, really think we've got probably the best with everybody fit, the best attacking setup that we've ever had. We never had this many players that we could rotate. And we haven't even mentioned John Duran to come in there to offer that little bit of physicality and just a bit of wildness into it. So there's a lot to consider. I don't envy the manager picking the team every week because it's really, really difficult. But as we know, he eats, sleeps and drinks football. So I'm sure he'll be well on the ball come Sunday afternoon.
Yeah. And look, we'll be sitting here and it'll be probably one player different. It's probably just like it might be Zaniolo, it might be Bailey. I think that's it. I think outside of that, it's going to be pretty
I think so.
I think it's going to be 4 at the back. I'm not sure it's going to be 3 at the back. If it is 3 at the back, then Zaniolo drops to the bench. McGinn moves to the left. Or McGinn moves back into the centre. You have Dina and Cash in the wings. Maybe that's what he goes with. Diaby is more of plays more at the top two. I personally think that when Diaby has played in the top two with Watkins, he's found it more difficult getting the ball. So I have no problem in withdrawing him a small bit more and just still going with one, even if we do go 3 at the back. But yeah, it's look, as I say, options are plentiful, and that's what we were looking for as well. And John Griffin asks here about Longley and Tielemans looking to go even January. I think the Tielemans. I haven't heard anything about Longley. Longley is only on loan, and to be honest with you, I don't care if he leaves. You know, I don't care if anybody who's here on loan leaves in January because we will replace them with another loan.
There's not too many people we care about leaving anyway. There's a spine of the team that would really worry us. If people aren't happy with the game time they're getting, do you know what? We're going to make a great profit on Youri Tielemans if that's the case. So it might help financial fair play if that's what happens.
And I just don't think he's played in every Premier League game so far. He just hasn't started them.
You know what? It all stems from those comments that were taken completely out of proportion. So we can't be speculating that that's the case. You know, we leave that to the clickbait warriors on social media that love you to click into their articles and look at all their ads and try and scroll past everything to read absolutely nothing. But I don't think there's much in it. I really don't. I just can't see how somebody who hasn't really hit the ground running could even say those words. So I'm not buying it. I would imagine he will come good. He looked really good in preseason in America. He's played some beautiful passes. We've seen he can unlock defenses when he comes off. That ball into Watkins when he won the penalty that time escapes me now who was against him. Yeah, but it Palace, wasn't it? Last minute or an injury time, whatever it was. So he's well capable of stepping up when needed, and God knows we're going to need him. So I don't want him to leave. I don't want Longley to leave either because we'd be light in central defence. I don't envisage he's going to play many games unless he proves something major over the next few weeks or we get more injuries. Touch wood that doesn't happen because we could really do with a break here now from picking up injuries because we badly need the points between now and Christmas and we badly need the results in Europe. So it's going to be flat to the mat. It's going to be all guns blazing for everybody in the squad. We're going to need each and every one of them, I would imagine, in order to fulfill all the fixtures.
I agree. And I think, look, yeah, there's a lot of games between now and January. A lot of games between now and January between Europa League, and I don't envisage Unai Emery Chapman changing his squad at the weekend. I don't envisage him Chapman changing his squad against AZ in midweek either. So I think between now and January, there's a couple of players who are going to have to play a lot of games, and that's okay. I'm okay with that. There will obviously be rotation, for sure, but that's why when we go back and we bring a full circle about the Jacob Ramsey's understanding what's wrong with Jacob Ramsey and Alex Moreno is going to be really important because 2 more players make a big difference to our squad depth. Not because they're just very good players, but 2 more players in general will make great difference to our squad depth. I think so. It's and it would be a massive bonus having those 2 players with them being the caliber that they are already. Because at the end of the day, you know, naming two goalkeepers on the bench is fine, and I know we make a joke about it the whole time, but you kind of don't want to. You want to have options. No, and we've named people. You know, we've named smaller benches than other teams this season as well, which is by design because we could call up the young kids and stuff like that. But you know, Unai Emery has been pretty forthright in saying, "Hey, look, I'm not going to bring them for the day just to tag along." He's named Kellyman in the bench. He's named Tommy O'Reilly on the bench. We haven't seen Feeney get called up this season yet, but then again, we've been good in centre half positions, and obviously Oscar, or Philip Marshall, and has been named on the bench a couple of times. So it's not like he's shunning the youth. He's just not going to call somebody up for the sake of calling them up. They have to be quite good as well, which I think is fine. Which is fine. And I'd ask, is there a November international break? There
is.
Oh, is there? Is there another? Oh, there is. Yeah, there is. Yeah,
there is. Yep. It's a month away. It's the 18th and 19th of November. So
yeah,
that's
it's
another break.
Having a September and October and a November international break is.
Yeah, but for us in the predicament we're in, for the players that aren't playing international football, it's a good thing to get that little break in there. I don't believe that there should be this many international breaks in the middle of the season. I think it's just a bit of a mess. I think they play far too many games now. We saw the likes of John McGinn playing until the end of June with Scotland. It's bonkers, like. So they're going to have to make a decision on international football because it's an absolute mess at the moment. There's way too many games. Like, it just begs belief where they're pulling these games out of. So they're going to have to think of player welfare. They're going to have to think about lots of things. But yeah, I think there's way too many breaks, and there's probably the October one. If there was one in November, it's not too bad going into the Christmas period. But it's something something will eventually have to give. And while we're mentioning international football, it'd be wrong of us not to mention those two poor souls that were taken in Brussels on the other night. Nobody should go to football and not come home, and it's absolutely heartbreaking as somebody who regularly goes as a football tourist, traveling with Ireland and traveling around Europe, and I'm due to go to one on that 18th of November. That's why I know the date. So it's just heartbreaking to see, the scenes from the crowd and everybody just absolutely distraught that this has happened. It's absolutely, it's hard to take. It's just impossible to comprehend what's happening.
Yeah. The world is fractured at the moment, and common sense needs to prevail somewhere along the line. But it certainly shouldn't be an aspect of going to a football game in a country a million miles away from conflict, and have you be a tribute for something that's going on somewhere else in the world. It just should not happen. If that is the case. But look, as I say, look, everybody should come home from a football game. We've always said it. There is no reason for somebody not to come off. It's the least important. It's the most important of the least important things. And I know specifically it wasn't because they were well, it probably was because they were in Swedish jerseys. But look, we won't get down that. It's look, as I say, common sense needs to prevail somewhere along the line, and life is too precious for any life to be lost at any stage. So absolutely, I agree with you there, Paddy, for sure. I think that's going to do it. Craig has one last question. Actually, Craig asks, what do you make of the links with Calvin Phillips? I don't make much of them from the point of view that, and it's not just a pile-in and Calvin Phillips thing. I just don't know does he suit Emery's style. I don't know what type of player he is. He hasn't played in 3 years. I couldn't tell you what type of player Calvin Phillips is anymore. And I fully expect him to see him rock up at Newcastle.
The only thing I can tell you about Calvin Phillips is he's a very wealthy player. I don't know what he has to offer on the pitch at this stage. Like, he went and crucified his own career. I've little or no interest in what he does with his life after that, because it's just like Jordan Henderson going to Saudi Arabia. It's absolutely bonkers. But if somebody's happy to go and pick up that wage and sit on the bench, fine, but don't send them to Aston Villa for another payday.
No, I'd be the same. I'd do it. I'd like. There's not one of us wouldn't sit in the bench for money, but I just don't want them to do it at Aston Villa, and I wouldn't do it at Aston Villa either myself, being an Aston Villa fan.
But how much money do you need? That's what I want to know. How much money do you need to not play football? Like,
a lot.
Even at my age, I'm still playing football, and I don't know what I'm going to do when the legs eventually give up.
Fortune to play football, Paddy. That's 7 aside. So, but at least you're playing, Paddy. At least you're playing.
Well, that's it. When the legs eventually give up, I'll be pissed off, and and that's what makes me pissed off with the likes of Calvin Phillips sitting on the bench. I know he gets to play and train every day, but I can just never understand why somebody would do that to their career. You only get one chance at it. You're going to get handsomely paid no matter where you go, but to do it and sit on the bench just doesn't wash with me at all.
I agree. Anyway, I don't think we'll have to worry too much about Calvin Phillips coming to Aston Villa. I just don't think he's a fit tactically anymore. Specifically if his legs are the way they are. And based on the international games that we've seen, potentially they are the way they are at the moment. Anyway,
and he was always injured at Leeds as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But more power to him, whatever he decides to do, and whoever decides to take him, because he still is young enough, that he could find a role in there and be in the right system. I just don't think it's our system. I don't think it's our system for sure. Anyway, that's going to do it, everybody. Thanks so much very much for listening. I just want to acknowledge one thing. A couple of people have said it in the comments about our live podcast shows. They were cracking fun. I have to say they were great fun, and I was delighted with how the footage came out of them. We were nervous as all hell doing them, but I was very happy with how the footage came out. There's actually, to be really honest, there's nothing cut out of of any of the conversations, which I was delighted with, because you don't remember what you say at some stage. You don't remember how his question came about or how something went down in the room or anything like that. And I was just delighted that everything was just fully captured and there was nothing needed to be cut out from the point of view of did it drop like a lead balloon. So that was nice. And thanks so much to everybody for watching and for listening. There was tons of views in them as well. If you haven't caught them, you can go back and find them, because there's some really, really good conversations there. And for those of you asking, will we be doing another one? It is absolutely on the agenda to do another one. Where in the world we'll do it, I'm not quite sure yet.
The thoughts of going through all the planning again is what has me. But look, I'm having sweet dreams, wondering what we can do with it from here on. But look, again, just to reiterate what you said, the response has been amazing. The response on everything since has been amazing. So I hope everybody enjoyed it. Go back and have a look at the three of them if you haven't got a chance to look at them. Look at them in order. Bit of crack, good fun, and looking forward to doing it again at some stage and meeting even more people the next time, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. Right, that's definitely going to do it this time. It's now 10:30, and I got to get myself into the cot as soon as possible. Thanks so much, everybody, for watching and listening. It means a lot. We will be back with a Team Sheet Tantrum. That's how long it's been since we've done one of these podcasts. I forgot what our flagship show is. Team Sheet Tantrum on Sunday, and also with a final whistle. Right in the final whistle, we will join you with a post-match. Paddy, I'd imagine you might be MIA for the Team Sheet Tantrum, but you're more than welcome to join if you can. Now that my new snazzy equipment allows me to take phone calls directly live through the podcast.
I never thought of that. Okay.
Yeah, it might be easier than trying to get you on via Wi-Fi in the black hole that is Villa Park for Wi-Fi.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's easier to get you on via phone if we can. And I hope everybody here wants to join us or likes us enough that you would even consider joining us on Sunday for both of those games. Also, for anybody who is looking to get involved or looking to find out what's going on in the women's game at the moment, Paddy and his son Stephen are doing a weekly roundup of the women's team, Aston Villa women's team. If you haven't checked it out, check it out. It's like the guys put in some great, like, there's just, put it this way, there's way more effort put into that podcast to do the women's game than there is put into anything myself and Paddy have done. So fair play to Stephen. He comes with all the stats and everything, all in his mind. And look, as I say, the women's team are part of the team as well. We've just talked about Vizsla Kobe and Victoria Guimaraes being part of the V Sports group. Aston Villa Women's Football Club are part of V Sports Group as well, and we should be every bit as excited about that as we are about any of the announcements that have come today as well. So give that a look. As I say, you might I'm going to be honest. The reason I'm not on that podcast is fraudulence. I don't know an awful lot about the Aston Villa women's team, but I'm learning a lot through Stephen and Paddy on that as well. And I'm very thankful and very appreciative of the two guys doing that podcast as well. So give it a shout, give it a look as well. All right, that's going to do it. Talk to you on Sunday. But in the meantime, everybody stay safe, stay healthy, and all that's left to say is up to Villa.
Up the Villa.